And we're back to your number one sports podcast, All Things Sports. I'm your co host, Small Town EP, once again coming to you live from the chilly city of Atlanta. In a weekend where the Thunder lose to the Pistons, the 49ers revenge tour continues. And Patty Mahomes does it again. ATS is back to give you the real in sports. I'm joined by your host, Wade Julian, live from the probably a little chillier city, New York City. How you doing, brother?
Everything's good, man. It's raining. A little upset, that Lamar couldn't get that, but we moved, man. Patrick Mahomes just showing his greatness.
There it is. And of course, another usual suspect that the camera is used to seeing now, Big Kev. Like the Heat and Chiefs, colors you got going on behind you. I'm gonna say Chiefs, but I'm sure you might say Heat.
Well, it's funny because right before we went on, they were blue, and I couldn't give the Lions that, so I changed it to red. So we got both teams. I'm representing the just the Super Bowl in total.
You see me? I'm still rocking with the purple for now. This is the last episode I'm gonna get to do the purple.
What Drake said, you rocking Purple Hearts, you know we at war. But let's get into it. We'll start with the Lions and the Niners because everybody want to know about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll start with the Lions and we'll start with the Niners. Great game in Santa Clara. The over obviously cashed. We talked about it. We talked about it being more than likely a high scoring game. At least I thought it was going to be. June, finish the sentence. The coaching performance that Kyle Shanahan displayed was.
As as necessary. Um, I don't think the first half, they were able to get things going the way they expected to, and so the second half, they were forced to be aggressive. Christian McCaffrey wasn't able to run the ball pretty well in the first half, and I guess what they were able to do as far as sticking with it and knowing that he'll find something eventually, and then kind of just I, I kind of want to go off record, but like going off of how good the I guess play calling and play design was, Brock Purdy really I think won this game for the 49ers in the second half. So that's my end of the sentence.
I mean, he looked, I would say, as poised as ever in arguably the biggest game of his career up to this point. With a chance to punch a ticket to the greatest spectacle in sports, as they call it. Kev, we'll take it to the other side, and then we'll discuss a little more. The end of the Lions season was.
Mm. Damn. It's a good. I'm trying to think of a word, and I can think of how I want to say it, but I can't think of the actual word. So I'm just tell you what I'm trying to think of. Um, it's kind of like that. Live by the sword, die by the sword. This is who they were all season. This is who Dan Campbell was all season. He didn't just decide in the NFC Championship game that he was going to go for two fourth downs in critical moments when they had field goals that they could have taken, but that's what got them there. And the same way you wouldn't change it the other way. I don't think he should have changed the way they went about things. Um, and that's just the coach that he is, and that's just who he's going to be. And I think he displayed that all year, and he stuck with it, and he stuck by his guns. And yeah, so that's how I feel about it.
I think this was like the third largest comeback in postseason history, if I'm not mistaken. That stat might be a little skewed, but that's what I believe that I heard. I mean, George Kittle said it himself in the post game, celebration. He said, "Hey, the first half, they absolutely had us. I mean, it just looked like like the fix was in. Detroit was about to run away with it. And Kyle Shanahan, came out in the second half. It was like we need to play poise. We need to kind of rally the troops back in. And I mean, Christian McCaffrey and that Niners defense in the second half just kind of came to play. June, how much different is this Niners team than the Niners team that the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl in 2020?
I think Brock Purdy makes all the difference in these teams as far as his athletic ability and his fearlessness in making throws. The defense is a bit, more well rounded out, in my opinion, as well. Also, just having more experience under them, having played in more NFC Championship games, and uh, so I'd go with the experience is really the biggest difference. But having Brock Purdy back there and him being as confident as he is, and using his athleticism, because like I said before Kev started going on finishing that sentence, they don't win this game if Brock Purdy doesn't make those plays on big third downs and extends those drives with those runs. Um, I think we watched in that AFC Championship, Lamar Jackson obviously had a few plays where he took off and tucked it, but there were more opportunities for Lamar Jackson to kind of take off and run or make a decision to use his legs earlier than holding on to the ball as long as he did. And Brock Purdy made no mistake about it, understanding that if you guys are going to play man, I'm going. And if he was able to outrun linebackers, make a couple guys miss. And so, yeah, I just think that having a guy like him, again, also somebody who's not scared to try to put the ball in a certain place. That throw to Ayuk, that's a Pro Bowler's touchdown right there. Um, he made a couple big throws. He had to throw across his body, across the field, which you should never do. But him just feeling like I got to do whatever it is to win this game and put the team on my back now that we're down, what was it, 17 at halftime? It's a big credit to him, man. It's a big credit to him because, again, Christian McCaffrey, their best player, he was really slowed down early in this game. And credit to the 49ers for sticking with him. Obviously, you're going to do that. He's the best player on the field. But when he's not getting it going and being that, I guess, quarterback's best friend, the quarterback got to step up and he should be different. But Kev, I want to hear your thoughts.
I'm a little upset it took you that long to say that the difference. Well, not even you didn't even say it, but I'm a little bit upset that your main difference in that team to this team was not Christian McCaffrey, because that is the biggest difference. Um, Purdy, but yeah, to your point, Purdy did he outplayed essentially he outplayed he made the plays that Jared Goff didn't, right? Like the fourth down and three throw, Goff has a man open and missed him. Like he completely underthrows it. So Purdy was making those throws. The touchdown pass to Ayuk, though, I laughed when you said it because it should have been an interception about two plays before that. They hit off his helmet.
Facts.
The ball
Yeah.
that hits off his helmet and pops in the air and is a 51-yard catch. But um, yeah, I mean, to his credit, he ended up making all the plays that Jared Goff couldn't, and that was the difference in the game.
I also think like miscues was a big thing in both games. That was a theme. Like obviously we'll talk about the 49ers or the Chiefs Ravens game, which there was a list, but in this game, you just mentioned that 50-yard pass to Brandon Ayuk that could have been an interception, would have been a game-changing play. Um, then you had the fourth down to Josh Reynolds, or the third down to Josh Reynolds where he dropped it, the fourth down play that they weren't able to execute on. And Josh Reynolds had another drop. So a lot of opportunity was left out there. And, you want to look at those fourth down decisions where Dan Campbell goes for it and, call him crazy, whatever the case is. Like Kev said, this is what got you here. Why change that? I agree to an extent. However, on the one where they were in field goal range, they were able to tie the game up with just over like 5 or 6 minutes left. I think you have to tie the game up. I understand you want to be confident and try to go down and get a lead, but at certain points of a game, you also have to understand like points matter. Points matter.
Yeah. And to be clear, if a friend asked me, are you taking points? I said, first of all, I'm never going to be an NFL head coach. I have no qualification at all to do so. But if I were to be in that position, no, I'm taking the points both times. But I'm not Dan Campbell, and Dan Campbell's been this way all season. So
Now, but I get it. So like I do understand Dan Campbell too, in the regard that, yeah, I mean, this works. This is what we do as a team. We're confident in ourselves to be able to run plays to pick up 2-3 yards on fourth down. And the unfortunate part is that on two of those plays, they had an opportunity to pick up first downs and they were dropped. Great execution, you know what I'm saying, on blocking, getting open, and getting the ball there. Couldn't bring the catch in, and that's just killers. That's something that the Kansas City Chiefs could relate to all season, where drive killers that didn't help their quarterback. And I think that Jared Goff, I don't know that if they make those catches, that Kev would be able to come on here and say, Brock Purdy made the plays that Jared Goff didn't. And that's kind of the way the game went. And unfortunately for the Lions, the Cinderella story ends this time, now here in San Francisco. But fortunately for the Lions, I mean, they got a young team. You see their running back duo, and they'll be here for some years. What's up, Kev?
No, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I don't think their story's ending. I think they'll be back, and I think Dan Campbell learns from this. And I think because there is also a difference doing going for it on fourth down in a game in November or October when you've got a comfortable lead in the division versus it's win or go home. So Dan Campbell, this is only something to learn from and grow from, and you grow from it, grow with a young team from it. So I don't think that this is a one and done type thing for them. I think they can definitely get back. They've got a whole bunch of young talent all over the field. So um, them and the Packers, I think in the NFC North can contend with each other for a while.
I want to kick it
I'm sorry,
over.
real
Yeah,
quick,
you're good.
real real quick. I'm sorry. I hate that for Jahmyr Gibbs, man. What a great rookie season. Over 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards rushing. Had a big impact on this game. I'm not sure what his final stat line was. Uh, he only had 45 rushing yards this game, but they were meaningful yards. He had a big touchdown at a critical point in the game where it looked like they were going to be able to run away with this one. And then the fumble, that fumble really just momentum. That's football. Momentum. I mean, that's sports in general. But when old momentum starts coming for you, man, there's really like nothing you can do about it. And they got stopped. San Francisco came back and scored. They got the ball back. They fumbled, and it just looked like, okay, how are they going to get the ball back in the end zone to kind of try to solidify themselves in the Super Bowl? And they never were able to do that. It was like when the Heat lost to the Knicks there, where we come back down, and it's just like, nah, DiVincenzo just 8 straight points. Come on. So
To their credit, they did come back to cover. Good teams win, but great teams cover. So
That's funny to hear as a gambling man myself. I want to kick it over to the chat real quick because we do have people live in here. Shout out to Just Breeze in the chat. He said, shout out to Miami Heat, and then he said shit wrong pod. I think it's the right pod. Any pod that Julian's on, you want to shout the Miami Heat out, is definitely the right pod to do that on. Cam saying, yo, Jay in the chat saying Josh Reynolds, don't drop those passes. I think Lions win. Uh, I think Breeze is referencing being so aggressive on going on fourth down and stuff like that, saying hell no, in the playoffs you update that. My dog Brandon St. Louis in the chat talking, just wondering why they're going for it on fourth down twice. But like we said, that's just Dan Campbell on a week in and week out basis. Um, you gotta take the points if you're asking me. I was a little scared when the Chiefs. I shouldn't say we because as a collective we're not Chiefs fans, but when the Chiefs didn't take the points in that game today, I was like, this. I've been here. I've been here before. You guys have anything else you want to go over as far as this Niners game is concerned before we move over to the AFC Championship?
I'll just say, look, man, shout out to the Lions for real. Shout out to everybody in the chat: Breeze, Ray, Jane, Jason, Brandon, Christian. The Lions had a hell of a season for sure. Going to the NFC Championship in the beginning of the season, maybe somebody like Nico did, but the fact that they did get here and stuck to their guns and kind of went out the way that they would have loved to, like on some set it off Queen Latifah vibes, like this is what we got. And so a couple plays they probably wish they had back, but Chiefs 49ers, bro, that's the game of the year right there. That's going to be the game of the year right there.
The revenge tour continues for the Niners, and it seems like they're going to meet the exact team that they wanted to meet. Kyle Shanahan, second Super Bowl appearance in the last 5 years. Second Super Bowl appearance in the last 5 years against the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is starting to get interesting. We'll go over, like I was mentioning, to the AFC Championship game where the Chiefs did go to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, come out victorious to the tune of 17-10. Another scoreless second half, which again was kind of a trend early on in the season. We'd win games, but we'd be scoreless in halves, which isn't the most pretty, isn't the prettiest thing. Most pretty is not a term. Isn't the prettiest thing. But once again, did come out victorious. June, was this game more Chiefs defense dominating or more Ravens offense just not clicking?
It's a good question. I think in the first half, I would have said, the Chiefs defense dominated it, but we started to see that offense move the ball in the second half for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson start to figure things out. I mean, Zay Flowers, shout out to Zay Flowers, being a rookie and his first AFC Championship game, putting up 5 yards, 115, 5 receptions for 115 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, in the same drive, he has a crucial 15-yard penalty, a crucial fumble, and he even hurt himself in the process on the sideline with the frustrations of it. And it's hard as a player to come back from that. It's hard as a player to stay confident through that. However, I think it was a little bit of both. To answer your question, the Chiefs defense, you got to give them credit. Lamar didn't play a good game. He was playing sloppy at points. He turned the ball over 2 times in situations where I felt like both were his fault. That was a PI that they missed in the end zone, but he threw in the triple coverage. It was never going to work. And then the fumble, it wasn't like he didn't have any time at all, but you got to sense that pressure. You can't just be sitting there as freely as he was. So I think those 2 turnovers are on him. Yeah, I would say a mixture of both.
Okay, what do you think? More Chiefs defense or more Ravens offense just not clicking?
I think the Ravens play calling was terrible. Um, I hate, I hate, I hate that they did not have Lamar go more option, like read option. Like I just feel like getting that Chiefs defense to move east to west with Lamar was not something that they wanted to do, and I don't know why. Because I felt like if you could get him leaning one direction with the run and have Lamar pull and run, he could. I mean, we saw him a couple times get through the defense for bigger runs. So I'm not sure why they didn't do it more often. I'm not sure why Lamar didn't look to run more often, um, especially when he had time and things weren't open. Um, I just feel like you got to take off in certain situations. You got to have a clock and know that eventually that rush is going to get to you. But regardless of if you got time, you got 4 or 5 seconds back there, it's going to get to you eventually. So you got to get out of there and make plays with your legs, and you're the best in the league at doing that. So I'm not sure why we didn't see more of that from Lamar. That's I think was the most frustrating thing for me just watching the game was the fact that they didn't seem to want to get into that. It looked like they wanted to make him look like he could win as a
Like a
pocket
passer, right?
passer. So I mean I don't know what it was about. I don't know if that was just the game plan going in, but I didn't. I thought they should have leaned more run, especially with Lamar. But
Yeah, I think 16 rushes as a team total for less than 100 yards is unacceptable. And I understand that, situation calls for certain play calling, but when you have the number one rushing offense in the league, you're that for a reason. And this Chiefs defense, you got to give them credit because it's a big part of why Todd Monken probably didn't run as much. However, um, you look at how it started. They weren't able to get drives going. The time of possession was heavily in Kansas City's favor early first 3 quarters, probably. Um, and so Todd Munkin's probably thinking, well, I don't know how much opportunity you guys think we truly had to run the ball. Um, but it's about believing in a process that you've worked through all season. Like, the 49ers weren't able to get Christian McCaffrey going in the first half too much, but they're still gonna, put the ball in his hand and try to give the ball to their best player. Now, whether that's running the ball with Gus Edwards or Justice Hill, or if that's giving Lamar the read option to be able to tuck it, like Kev said, it just creates a different dynamic for the offense that that guys are going to mismatch on. That creates a lot of mismatches. So I do agree with Kev. Play calling wasn't the best today, and it forced Lamar to be in tough situations. And then Kansas City's defense coverage downfield wasn't blanket coverage all day, but I mean they held everybody else other than Zay Flowers to less than 5 catches and less than 40 yards. So defense did their job in Kansas City. They got pressure, 4 sacks, and again forced those 2 turnovers. So shout out to Kansas City's defense, man. This number 6 offense in Baltimore, number 1 rushing offense. It looked really, really flustered today.
And to the point too, that they had the opportunities to get more than what, like, that should have been an entire game, realistically, if Zay doesn't fumble the
Yeah, I
ball.
was like, I told my group chat, like, Justin Tucker hasn't even been on the field. And there was that one drive where I think it was a Zay Flowers fumble, but when they started that drive, I'm like, all right, look, got to have 3 points here at least. Like, you get 3 points minimum, and then they go and have a big play, and then the fumble. That fumble just obviously changed
There was
everything.
also a penalty, I believe it was a penalty that on Baltimore that took him back out of field goal range for Tucker. Either a
And
penalty or
yeah,
receipt.
and
Yeah,
then they got
personal.
sacked right after that, right?
Yeah.
And it
So
really could have, shout out to Lamar for evading these sacks because it was really, you said it was 4 sacks today, June. I felt like there should have been like 6, 7 sacks for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
in which we, instead of, going for his legs, wrapping up his body, we kind of just lunged and completely missed. Like Karate Boy just completely missed the mark.
there was also 2 of those sacks that I believe it was 2. I know at least 1 for sure, but I believe it was 2 sacks that were basically coverage sacks. And those are the ones
Yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
it's like you got to get out of
But you
there.
got to take off and go.
Right,
You can't try to read 4 progressions
right,
and then try to go back to the first one. Like
right.
you're Lamar Jackson, bro, and you got to go 1, 2, gone, 1, 2, 3, maybe gone. But trying to just make something happen, sit back there in the pocket. Your O line, 1, can't block all day, and 2, your receivers, if they're not getting open, it's looking like they're gonna have to start being blockers. But yeah, I just wish there was a little bit more better decision making from Lamar Jackson today. It wasn't his brightest showing. However, he ended off with a respectable effort because it started off pretty poor and he had like 80 something yards in the first half. Um, so he definitely had to get things rolling. But again, I think people don't really and obviously they're ranked high, but people don't realize this Chiefs defense is what's gotten them here throughout this season, through the struggles on the offense, through the drop balls. Uh, it's been that defense. But
My boy
I will say,
Karloftis and
mm,
Sneed with the forced fumble. Listen, last week I didn't really say nothing about it. I mentioned the play that the jet sweep that we ran that ended in the same result as today's fumble that L'Jarius Sneed caused. I didn't say nothing on the pod. In private I might have mentioned to a couple people, get rid of that rule. Right? If you're one of those people that I mentioned that to in private and you're watching this, I never said that, and it sucks to suck. Like that's what happens. There's a lot of calls that. And before I get into that, do you guys have any gripe with the officials today? Because we were in a group chat, a lot of officiating opinions, a lot of people were saying that the refs were a little soft today. I think the hand to the face. I don't know if it should have been called. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was roughing the passer. I probably would have called hands to the face, illegal hands to the face. I don't know about roughing the passer. Um,
no, it's a roughing. I mean, you can't touch the quarterback over the. That's roughing. It's a lineman, get the hands to the face call, but it's just something you can't do in that moment. Like you can't go left hook to Patrick Mahomes. Let's be real. I don't think the missed PI in the end zone was the biggest deal. It's a missed call for sure. But
The
listen, bro, that officiating shit, like it's so annoying to come after the game and just be like, look, man, the refs here, and here. It's part of the game, bro. They miss calls, they make bad calls, and you got to beat the refs, and you can't make the refs be the determinators of the situation.
That one unlikely in the end zone. I didn't care if they threw one or not there because it was in the triple coverage and you just you got all three guys going for the ball at the same time, so can't really do nothing about that. The one questionable one that they didn't call was the one where he kind of hooked them, and I think they
Yeah, he hooked likely for sure on that third down.
so that one
But I think Lamar needs to make a better. He needs to do a better job at putting the ball in a catchable position. I feel like he kind of threw the ball away.
so somebody said that it was uncatchable, and I said, funny enough, that's the same call that they got in the Super Bowl last year, the Chiefs.
But it's funny. Look, I was at the bar watching the game, and somebody was like, there has been no calls for the home team. You would have thought the home team would get, some sort of call by this time of the game. I said, listen, bro, the Chiefs are the home team. All right. That's how it works. This is their league. And that's part of how I feel the refs officiate games. And fair or not, that the Patriots got that treatment. Brady got that treatment. And so this is the Mahomes era. We're gonna do, bro. Kelsey didn't get any unsportsmanlike conducts, and he was out there bullying dudes. And then somebody tried to do that thing to Kelsey or do that, what I'm saying, to the Chiefs, and they get a taunting call, they get an unsportsmanlike call. So again, I think you just got to be better collectively and not put the game in the refs' hands for one or two calls to be able to make or break the game. And to me, the play of the game, was the Travis Kelce third down catch where he just went full extension for it. If they would have kicked the field goal right there, because we didn't think that Zay Flowers' touchdown was going to be the only passing touchdown of the game for Lamar Jackson. And then so to think if they would have went up by, a touchdown and a field goal, wouldn't have been too much to overcome at the moment. But, that drive extender and then Patrick Mahomes goes and runs the ball for the first down, like, it was just too much. So I just think the Chiefs were the better team today. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce went for their good old connection for another historic day for Travis Kelce, tying or passing Jerry Rice for all-time receptions leader in the playoffs. That's Jerry Rice. Like, let's acknowledge this, guys. Travis Kelce's the tight end.
Yeah, I saw that stat when it popped up on the screen, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's nuts! Like that's actually crazy just to think he's been in the league this long, all the production that he's given the Chiefs, and I mean he's just reaping what he's been sowing. Really, he's just been putting into work and getting the job done. Yeah, shout out to him because that stat and that milestone. I actually immediately thought I was like, I wonder if there's like a little paycheck incentive for hitting that milestone, or if that's just like one of those random ones that no one took into account,
I hope they're not like, hey man, if you get Jerry Rice's record this year. Shout out to Breeze in the chat. He's a Steelers fan, so I know he's hype. Division rival, ain't going to no damn Super Bowl, ain't getting no damn title. I'm not mad. Look, I was rooting for Lamar Jackson. It's the Broward thing. We want to see the kid win, but Patrick Mahomes, this is his time. When Tom Brady was beating the Colts and everybody else in the AFC every single year to go to the Super Bowl, we couldn't stand it. Some of us, like Kev, is his division rival. Some of us, like me, were the Colts. We were getting bullied in the early 2000s. And then the rest of the league just wasn't good enough to even be in the echelon to talk about Brady. So it was like, what better to do than hate? Why not? And it's Boston, New England area. It's an easy hate. So like Mahomes, though, he's got a little bit to him, He's got some
Some song.
Yeah. It's just, his game is so much more than Brady's in the sense of making different throws, using his legs, and plays that he's made throughout his career. So just got to credit him. Six straight AFC championships he's been to. This is his third Super Bowl appearance or fourth Super Bowl appearance? What is this?
Fourth, yeah.
Because he lost the one to Brady. See, that's the thing, that he can win 8 rings. He'll never be better than Brady.
Yeah, right. Why? Why? Because he never beat Brady in the playoffs.
They had a head to
Stop it.
head. We got to see them go head to head.
Nah, but the stats, man, he's doing things that Brady has never done, and to
That's fine.
say that is crazy.
It's not.
And
I don't think it
to,
is. We never
I,
got to see. We never got to see Jordan LeBron. We got to see. We got to see Brady Mahomes, and Brady won both times in the postseason.
yeah, but football is such more is more of a it's a team sport, and
Yeah, but we
the
know
Chiefs.
at the end of the day, they're the quarterback.
I
Once
get it. I'm not. I get it, but listen, I can't say that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be better than Brady ever,
oh no,
especially especially if he got six more or four more rings.
no, I mean he can be statistically better and have more rings, but when you're talking about who's the greatest of all time, you have to take into account they went head to head in the postseason twice, and Brady came out on top both times.
It
But
was early. It was early.
I compared it to Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo. Like everybody knows Canelo, everybody knew Canelo was gonna be
Exactly.
great, but Canelo was too young to
But
go in at that
also like Jordan versus the Pistons. You know what I'm saying? Like it just wasn't the time for Mahomes yet. He had to go through it. Everybody has to battle that adversity before breaking through. And the fact that Brady was the guy on top at the time that Mahomes was coming into his own, it's not fair to kind of just I like the narrative. I do, but um the best quarterback in NFL history will be an AFC West quarterback.
Oh, it's funny you guys mentioned that. As far as Brady is
Russell
concerned,
Wilson.
whoa, it's funny you guys mentioned that as far as Brady is concerned, because I was talking to Strictly earlier. Shout out Strictly, shout out Cardi, and I was like, because they're Boston natives, Patriots fans, all that. I was like, yo, I now understand. Like, I now understand what you guys were dealing with because, like you were saying, June, it just feels like the Chiefs are like an easy hate at this point. It's like let's just bet against them because, like, no, we don't. We just don't want to see them there again. It's what it's coming down to at this point. It's like you
I
can't give
don't
me any reason. There's no like logical. There's no like, oh, it's either like fuck the Chiefs or it's because I just don't want to see them there anymore. It just seems like it's a very easy hate. So I told Strictly that I now understand what he dealt with as a Patriots fan when they were going through that run. Would you guys say that this Chiefs team is very similar or not similar to the 2019 Chiefs team that won 9 straight to finish the season and win a Super Bowl?
oh, you want me to go
Kev?
Sorry, I didn't say a name. That's on me. My fault.
first? My bad. So just like I said about like you asked the question earlier, what's the difference between this 49ers team and that 49ers team? And I said Christian McCaffrey, you asked the same question about the Chiefs, and I say they're worse because they don't have Tyreek Hill. And it's not just necessarily Tyreek Hill, but they don't have other than Travis Kelsey, who they had that season, they don't have that outside threat. I think this defense is way better. Like this defense is phenomenal, and so I think that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. But but I just think as dynamic as San Francisco is, can you keep up with them? And I think you can because you do have Patrick Mahomes, and he seems to find a way every time. Um, so it feels like if he has the ball last, he's gonna score if he needs to at this point because he did it with Buffalo. Every time they got a score, he came right back and answered. He did it uh with with Baltimore today when they came down and scored. He came right back and answered. I thought it was gonna be a high scoring game. I was like, oh, we're in for a, a shootout here, and then nobody seemed to want to put the football in the end zone again for the rest of the game. So uh, the defense is a lot better. It's just a question about the offense. So I think they're a little bit worse than that team, but I don't like I said it before. Like don't bet against Mahomes in January.
Drew, what do you think? Comparing the 2019-2020 Chiefs to the 2023-2024 squad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too much on what Kev said because I share similar thoughts, but this defense, I think is the biggest key. Losing Tyreek Hill is huge, um, but when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you can count on him to figure it out offensively and take the burden off of everybody else outside because he can move the ball around. But that defense, but that defense, is definitely a step and a half up from that 2019 defense. Um, I, that 49ers team is dynamic. They have, all threats. They got linebackers, they've got pass rush, they've got some good defensive backs, they've got receivers, they've got tight end, they've got the best running back in the game. And matchup wise, and on paper, you got to look at the 49ers as the favorite, right? And they were definitely a favorite coming into the season to be the Super Bowl champion. Um, but the under, like, I think the X factor in next week's or in the Super Bowl is going to be Andy Reid versus Kyle Shanahan, and I think we get a master class out of Andy Reid. I'll leave it there. I don't want to do too much detail on the Super Bowl preview just yet, but Andy Reid has strong feelings about his, what would this be now, his fifth or fourth?
I'll leave, because I'm the same. I don't want to get into too much of a Super Bowl preview because we'll do that when the time comes. But Vegas is quick. They're all about money. They're all about business. Vegas came out with the line this evening that said Niners -2.5. The line in the last hour has dropped to Niners -1 in the last hour. A lot of big money coming in on Kansas City early. Obviously, the Super Bowl is 2 weeks away, so we'll see. How much money comes in on the Niners throughout the next 2 weeks. How much money comes back in on KC. Should be an interesting bout. I have a football question for you, gentlemen. As far as the Ravens, does this game hurt Lamar's MVP chances, or is that MVP bundle wrapped up and ready to be sent off to him, June? You're on mute.
Damn, that good old mute button. Hey, I'd rather be on mute than have some bad audio, but it's his award. We know we say it's a regular season award, and um, there was no other quarterback playing football like him down the stretch last year or this season. And so he wholeheartedly deserves that MVP. And if he won this game somehow, which it looked like the Chiefs were giving them chance after chance to try to make a comeback here or there. If he would have won this game, we would have been saying, unanimous. So yeah, Lamar Jackson definitely deserved the regular season MVP award. Patrick Mahomes looks like he'll go and get a Super Bowl MVP though. Again.
Kev?
Yeah, it's done. I mean, it's a regular season award. They already voted on it, so you can't take your ballot back. So it's and like he said, like there was nobody. He proved his point the last 2 weeks of this. Well, not even the last two games that he played in against against the 49ers and the Dolphins. So
Shout out to the tap. Ooh, the chat still jumping. I know you mentioned Christian June one time for the Lions, hell of a season. I was on that Lions train early too. I was getting a lot of criticism for saying they were going to win the division. I'm not going to hold you. I didn't know anything about past winning the division. I wasn't as confident about any of that, but I did say that they would win the division. You guys got any more football talk before we wrap up and get out of here for the Sunday evening?
Nah, man, I think we're gonna get a good game. We're gonna get a good game in 2 weeks here. I'm excited to see Patrick Mahomes just try to further his legacy, man, and cement himself in NFL greats history. Brock Purdy, though, Mr. Irrelevant, has a chance to shut everybody up, all the people that didn't think he'd be the guy. Um, and Kyle Shanahan and the rest of those guys that were on that 2020 team, that 2019-2020 team that didn't win, they're going to put their best foot forward because they smell blood.
the Super Bowl's in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
my
like the
dad.
cheesy all-in T-shirt that they gave both teams. That was corny.
Well,
My
they
pops was like, "Yeah, they're gonna have to celebrate. They're gonna have to. Patrick Mahomes is gonna be, practicing in my facility as a Raiders fan. It makes me sick to my stomach."
Shout out to Pops, yeah.
well the uh so it's in Vegas. So Brady's probably gonna be there, right?
100%.
Thousand
So
percent.
so to give Mahomes a chance to win his first postseason game with Brady in the building.
Ha 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 ha
This
ha
guy
ha.
got jokes. Hey, it'll just be another thing to check off the list. We got the road wins out of the way, right? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this was your number one sports podcast, all things sports, Sunday night NFL conference championship recap. We will see you all. Well, first off, if you tuned in live, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you. You could have been anywhere in the world on this beautiful Sunday evening getting lit after these beautiful NFL games that we just watched, but you're here with us hanging out. If you're streaming this on your streaming platforms, Spotify podcast, Apple podcast, Amazon podcast, it don't matter. I said we'd be here Sunday night after we found out who was going to be in the Super Bowl. We'll see you on Tuesday for some NBA, NHL, and more talk. Yeah, ATS, your number one sports podcast, is out.